Hi, welcome to your checkup. We are the patient education podcast, where we bring conversations from the doctor's office to your ears. On this podcast, we try to bring medicine closer to its patients. I'm Ed Dulesky, a family medicine doctor in the Philadelphia area.
And I'm Nicole Rufo. I'm a nurse.
And we are so excited you were able to join us here again today. So what are we going to talk about today, Nick?
Today we're talking about skin cancer and how it actually develops.
Yeah, so one of our very first episodes was skin protection. And I think we did like a skin cancer with like swimming safety. It was like a branded summer safety episode. Mm-hmm. But, you know, we've been trying to do a couple more of these like understanding how your body works type of episodes. And this one may feel a little bit more advanced. It's going to be a little bit more detailed than some of our usual episodes because we are answering a deceptively simple question. How does skin cancer actually happen? Not just what does skin cancer look like, not just when you should see a dermatologist, and not just wear sunscreen because the sun is bad. We are going to go deeper than that. We're actually going to follow what happens inside a cell after sunlight hits it. We're going to talk about how your DNA gets damaged, how your body normally repairs that damage, why a peeling sunburn is actually part of your body's defense system, and how one damaged cell can eventually turn into basal cell carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, or melanoma. And along the way, we're going to answer some interesting questions. Why do most moles never become cancer? Why does basal cell carcinoma almost never spread, even though it contains an enormous number of mutations? And why can skin cancer occur in people of every skin color? And why does catching melanoma early make such a dramatic difference? So we are really going into the science today, but we're trying very hard to not make it feel like you accidentally wandered into the second week of medical school. So there will be a few scientific terms, but every time we introduce one, we're going to explain why it matters. And here's the central idea I want everyone to keep in mind throughout the episode. Skin cancer develops when damage accumulates faster than the body can repair or eliminate it. That's the story. Damage happens. The body tries to repair it. Usually, the body succeeds. But occasionally, a damaged cell survives. More damage accumulates. The cell's safety system begins to fail. Thank you, Ali. And eventually, that cell may stop obeying the normal rules. So let's start here. Your skin is being damaged every day. This is something that sounds alarming, but is also completely normal. Every day, cells throughout your body experience damage to their DNA. DNA is the instruction manual inside your cells. It contains the information that tells a cell what kind of cell it is, when it should grow, when it should divide, what jobs it should perform, and when it should die. You could think of DNA like a massive cookbook. Each recipe tells the cell how to make a particular protein or perform a particular function. When DNA is damaged, it is as though someone spilled ink across that part of the cookbook. A letter may be changed, two words may become stuck together, a sentence may be deleted, or an instruction that once said stop growing may become difficult for the cell to read. The skin is especially vulnerable to this because it sits at the boundary between your body and the outside world. It protects you from heat, cold, germs, chemicals, friction, and sunlight. And sunlight contains invisible energy called ultraviolet radiation. Most people have heard the abbreviation UV. That stands for ultraviolet. There are two major types of ultraviolet radiation that reach the surface of the skin, UVA and UVB. And people usually see those letters on sunscreen bottles. So you may see the phrase broad spectrum, which means the sunscreen is intended to protect against both UVA and UVB radiation. The distinction matters because UVA and UVB damage the skin in somewhat different ways. UVB tends to damage DNA more directly. B for bad. Your DNA is built from chemical letters. UVB energy can cause neighboring DNA letters to stick together when they should remain separate. Imagine that two keys on the keyboard become permanently glued together, and every time you try to type one letter, both appear. That distorts the genetic instructions. Some scientists call these injuries pyrimidine dimers, but the name is less important than the concept. Sunlight can physically alter the structure of DNA. UVA tends to cause more indirect damage. It can generate unstable molecules, commonly called free radicals. These molecules can collide with and injure DNA, proteins, and other structures inside the cell. So UVB is often described as causing more direct DNA damage, while UVA contributes heavily through oxidative stress and indirect injury. Both can contribute to skin aging, both can contribute to skin cancer, and both are present in natural sunlight.
Does this mean the skin is being damaged every time someone goes outside?
At some level, yes, which is why you're telling me to always wear sunscreen on my face. But that does not mean every moment outside is a medical emergency. Our bodies developed in a world with sunlight. Skin cells have multiple defense systems designed to reduce damage, repair damage, or remove cells that are too injured to save. The problem occurs when exposure is intense, repeated, or cumulative enough that damage begins to overwhelm those defenses. One episode of sun exposure does not usually produce a cancer immediately. Skin cancer generally develops after mutations accumulate over years and decades, and that is why the sun exposure someone had as a child, teenager, young adult, or middle-aged adult can matter later. The damage may be invisible when it occurs, but invisible does not mean irrelevant. So part 2, yes, I know it's long. Your skin has a built-in sun defense system. Before we make sunlight sound like a supervillain, we should give your skin some credit. The skin has an impressive natural defense system. One important part of that system is melanin. Melanin is the pigment that contributes to the color of the skin, hair, and eyes. It is made by specialized cells called melanocytes. Melanocytes live near the bottom of the epidermis, which is the outer layer of the skin. These cells produce melanin and package it into tiny structures. The pigment is then transferred to neighboring skin cells. And this is where the system gets very interesting. The melanin tends to collect above the nucleus of the skin cell. Remember, the nucleus is where most of the cell's DNA is stored. The pigment forms something like a protective cap over the DNA. Imagine a tiny umbrella sitting above the cell's instruction manual and absorbing or scattering some of the incoming ultraviolet energy.
So is tanning the body's way of protecting itself?
Yes, but I think there's an element of being precise here that's important. A tan is a response to UV exposure. The skin increases pigment production because it has detected an environmental threat. That does not make tanning healthy. It means that the body is reacting to injury. A tan is evidence that skin has been exposed to enough ultraviolet radiation to activate a defense response. People with naturally darker skin generally have more effective melanin protection against some forms of UV-related DNA damage than people with very fair skin. That natural protection meaningfully lowers the risk of UV-related skin cancers, but it does not eliminate the risk. People of every skin color can get skin cancer, and that's especially important because skin cancer in people with darker skin may occur in different locations. It may look different and may be diagnosed later. We will return to that later in the episode. But the main message here is that melanin is protection. Melanin is not immunity. So let's say that UV radiation reaches a skin cell and damages its DNA. The cell is not simply going to shrug its microscopic shoulders and carry on. It activates a repair response. Your cells contain enzymes that constantly inspect DNA for mistakes and injuries. You can think of these enzymes as editors reviewing the cookbook. If they discover a damaged section, they may cut that section out, rebuild it using the undamaged strand as a guide, and then reconnect the DNA. This process happens constantly throughout the body. Most DNA damage never becomes a permanent mutation because it's repaired correctly. This is to say that damage and mutation are not necessarily the same thing. DNA damage is an injury, and mutation is a permanent change in the DNA sequence. If the cell repairs the injury correctly, it may leave no lasting mutation. But if the damage is repaired incorrectly, copied before it is repaired, or missed entirely, the change can become permanent. Then, every time that cell divides, it may pass the mutation to its daughter cells. We're going to name another major player in this system. We're going to give it a name. It's called P53. You may hear P53 described as the guardian of the genome. It sounds dramatic, but it deserves the name. P53 is a protein that helps monitor cellular stress and DNA damage. We think of it as a chief safety inspector. When a cell is damaged, P53 can tell the cell to pause, stop dividing, do not copy this damaged DNA yet, give the repair crew time to work. If the damage can be fixed, the cell may eventually resume normal activity. But if the damage is too severe, like totaling a truck, P53 can help trigger a controlled form of cellular self-destruction called apoptosis. So the cell basically sacrifices itself. It's better for one damaged cell to die than for that cell to survive, divide, and potentially become dangerous. And one visible example of this may occur after a severe sunburn. When skin peels after a sunburn, some of those cells have been so badly damaged that the body is eliminating them. The peeling is not the skin casually shedding because it feels dry. It is part of the response to significant injury. The redness, pain, and inflammation and peeling associated with a sunburn are signs that the skin has experienced cellular damage. To this end, it really should sound that sunburn is more serious than maybe people lead on. A sunburn is not simply an inconvenient temporary change in skin color. It is an inflammatory response to DNA and cellular injury. It doesn't mean that someone should panic because they had a sunburn 10 years ago or last week, but it does explain why repeated sunburns, especially blistering sunburns, are associated with higher skin cancer risk. So, part 4, if you will. When the safety system fails. So far, our cell has several layers of protection. Melanin reduces the amount of UV energy reaching the DNA. Repair enzymes correct the damage. P53 pauses the cell cycle. Severely damaged cells self-destruct. The immune system may also recognize and eliminate abnormal cells. And skin cancer develops when a cell begins escaping these layers of protection. It may start with one mutation. That first mutation may not be enough to cause cancer. The cell may still behave normally. Then another mutation occurs, and another. Over time, mutations may affect several categories of genes. Some genes normally encourage appropriate growth. Some tell cells to stop growing. Some repair DNA. Some help cells die when they are damaged. Some help the immune system recognize abnormalities. Cancer develops when enough of these systems are altered that a cell gains several dangerous abilities. It may grow when it should not. It may ignore signals telling it to stop. It may resist death. It may divide indefinitely. It may invade nearby tissue. And in some cancers, it may eventually enter the blood or lymphatic system and spread elsewhere. This usually takes time, but that is one reason cancer becomes more common as people age. It is not simply that older people have weaker bodies. It is also that there has been more time for genetic damage to accumulate. So far, we followed the same basic story. Ultraviolet radiation damages DNA. The body tries to repair that damage. Severely damaged cells may be destroyed. And skin cancer can develop when one damaged cell survives, accumulates more mutations, and gradually stops following the normal rules. But skin cancer is not one single disease. The 3 major types begin in different cells and tend to behave differently. There is basal cell carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, and melanoma. We don't need to memorize every gene or cellular pathway involved in each one for this to be helpful. The most useful distinction is how they generally behave. Basal cell carcinoma is the most common type. It usually grows slowly and very rarely spreads to distant parts of the body, but it can continue to grow into nearby tissue, so it still needs to be treated. Squamous cell carcinoma is also common. It often develops in skin that has experienced years of sun damage. Most cases are treatable, but it has a greater ability to invade and spread than basal cell carcinoma, especially if it is neglected or occurs in someone with a weakened immune system. Melanoma is less common, but it is the type people are often most worried about because it has a greater ability to spread. Melanoma begins in melanocytes, the pigment-producing cells we discussed earlier. And here is one important point about melanoma. A cancer-associated mutation does not automatically mean that cancer will develop. Many ordinary moles contain genetic changes that tell melanocytes to grow, but the body often activates an emergency brake that makes these cells stop dividing. That is why most moles remain harmless. For melanoma to develop, the cell usually needs additional changes that disable those brakes and allow it to keep growing.
So a mole is not just early melanoma waiting to happen?
Correct. Most moles do not become melanoma. The more useful thing to watch for is change. A mole or spot that is growing, changing color, changing shape, bleeding, repeatedly crusting, or looking noticeably different from the rest deserves attention. So this next section is about why early detection matters. One of the biggest differences between an early melanoma and a dangerous melanoma is depth. Early melanoma may grow along the upper layer of the skin. At that stage, it has not yet gained easy access to the deeper structures that allow cancer cells to spread through the body. As melanoma grows downward, the risk changes. That is why a difference of only a few millimeters can matter so much. Catching melanoma early is not simply about removing a smaller spot. It is about removing it before it has developed the opportunity to travel. When melanoma is still localized, the outlook is excellent. That is why people are encouraged to notice new or changing lesions instead of waiting for later. A useful memory tool is the ABCDE system. A is for asymmetry. One side does not look like the other. B is for border. The edges may be irregular or poorly defined. C is for color. The spot may contain several colors or develop a new color. D is diameter. Larger spots may be more concerning, although melanoma can also be small. E is for evolving. It is changing over time. Evolving may be the most important one. Another useful idea is the ugly duckling sign. Most of one person's moles tend to look related to one another. A spot that looks completely different from all the others may deserve a closer look. We also need to address one of the most persistent myths about skin cancer. Skin cancer does not only affect people with very fair skin. People with lighter skin generally have a higher risk of many UV-related skin cancers because they have less protective melanin. But people of every skin color can develop skin cancer. And skin cancer may appear differently in darker skin. Melanoma may be more likely to appear on areas people do not usually associate with sunlight, including the palms, soles, fingers, toes, or beneath the nails. Basal cell carcinoma may appear blue, brown, or black instead of the classic pink or pearly bump often shown in textbooks. Squamous cell carcinoma may sometimes develop in long-standing scars, wounds, or areas of chronic inflammation. The other major concern is delayed diagnosis. If a person believes skin cancer cannot happen to them, they may wait longer to seek help. Clinicians also may be less suspicious if medical education and public messaging have focused too narrowly on light skin. The right message is that not everyone has the same level of risk. They do not. But the message is that nobody has zero risk. So what actually raises the risk? Now that we understand the biology, the major risk factors make more sense. Ultraviolet exposure is the most important preventable risk factor for many skin cancers. That includes natural sunlight and tanning beds. A tanning bed is not a safer form of tanning. It is a concentrated ultraviolet exposure. Sunburn history also matters, especially blistering sunburns. A sunburn tells us that the amount of ultraviolet radiation exceeded the skin's ability to protect itself. Age matters because damage has more time to accumulate. A weakened immune system still matters because the immune system helps identify and destroy abnormal cells. And a personal history of skin cancer increases the chance of developing another. Family history and having many or unusual moles can increase melanoma risk, but no one needs to calculate their exact risk while listening to this. The practical lesson is simpler. The more risk factors someone has, the more important it becomes to know their skin and discuss an appropriate skin examination plan with their doctor.
What about someone who says, I've already had a lot of sunburns when I was younger, so the damage is already done?
It's a common thought, thanks boomers, but prevention still matters. Skin cancer develops through accumulated damage. Past exposure cannot be erased, but future exposure can still be reduced. Think of it as slowing down the rate of which new mistakes are added to the DNA. Protecting your skin now still reduces additional injury. And sun protection does not mean living indoors or becoming afraid of the sun. Being outside is good for physical health, mental health, and social connection. The goal is to enjoy being outdoors while reducing unnecessary ultraviolet exposure. That can include seeking shade during the strongest sunlight, wearing protective clothing, using a wide-brimmed hat, wearing sunglasses, applying broad-spectrum sunscreen, and avoiding tanning beds. Sunscreen should also be reapplied during prolonged outdoor activity, especially after swimming, sweating, or toweling off. And sunscreen does not need to do all the work. Clothing and shade can be very effective parts of sun protection. So, second to last, thanks for hanging with us. What should you do with a suspicious spot? If you find a concerning spot, you don't need to diagnose it yourself. That is not the goal of a skin check. The goal is to notice change. Contact your doctor, nurse, or someone else in healthcare. A new or changing mole can be something you think about, a spot that looks different from the rest, a sore that does not heal, a lesion that repeatedly bleeds or crusts, a rough or scaly patch that persists, a changing area beneath a fingernail or toenail, or simply a spot that makes you think, that wasn't there before. The primary care doctor or dermatologist may examine it, photograph, monitor it, or perform a biopsy. And a biopsy does not cause cancer to spread. It's the way that clinicians determine what the lesion actually is. So, in one of the most detailed and in-depth episodes, and we actually truncated it a little bit mid-episode, we covered a lot today, so let's bring it back to the central idea. Skin cancer begins with damage to DNA. The body has remarkable ways to protect itself. Melanin absorbs some ultraviolet energy. Repair enzymes correct damaged DNA. This protein named P53 pauses injured cells or tells them to self-destruct. And the immune system helps remove abnormal cells. And most of the time, these systems work. But cancer develops when one damaged cell slips through, survives, and accumulates enough additional changes to stop following the normal rules. The three major skin cancers begin in different cells and behave differently. Basal cell carcinoma is common and usually slow-growing. Squamous cell carcinoma has a greater ability to invade and occasionally spread. And melanoma is less common, thankfully, but can become dangerous when it grows deeper and gains the ability to travel. The good news is that this process usually develops over time. That creates opportunities to prevent additional damage and to recognize cancer early. You cannot change every sun exposure from your past, but you can protect your skin today. You could become familiar with what your skin normally looks like, and you can get help when something changes. Wow, that was a mouthful. Thanks for sticking with us if you made it this far. Enjoy the banter section, everyone. And now for the banter. I was going to ask you to how to do the intro thing, but I'll edit this later. All right. Let's go. We've got things to talk about. Why don't we do it in like a splash of chronological or reverse chronological so that like what happened.
We can do chronological. This is going to be another installment of just strange interactions and calling people out for their weird, strange behavior.
People do love it though. They Especially, well, I capture that people
Like, I don't understand.
will not liken themselves to these individuals mostly, so they'll be like,
Yeah.
wow, these people.
So should we talk about the first one?
Yeah.
So
You really do light up. You were like a shell of yourself because you're not feeling great right now. And then you turned the mic on and you were like, I'm in, which is phenomenal.
I also have a timer for our rigatoni. I might need you to dump that out into the strainer for me in a couple minutes.
I can absolutely do that.
Anyway, so some backstory for this little neighborhood interaction.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a woman in our neighborhood who is strange. She is. And I know we're in 2026 and like we're all accepting and, you know, we're not yucking anyone's yums, but we really need to bring shame back to a degree as like we do. It would just be better for the community as a whole. So like this woman, when I first met her, told me that her name, what's
Maria
Shriver, and that she has a foundation for Alzheimer's because her mom has Alzheimer's and like da-da-da-da-da. Mind you, she's like in a clown outfit because she's a professional clown. And then I'm like talking to her and I'm like, Maria Shriver is somebody. And I like couldn't figure it out. And then I went home and the actual Maria Shriver has a foundation for Alzheimer's in honor of her mother who had it. And like, it's very strange and she's problematic, like in the neighborhood, the whole neighborhood.
You left out a little bit that Maria Shriver is actually Arnold Schwarzenegger's at one point wife.
Yeah. Strange. I don't actually know her name.
So she isn't Arnold Schwarzenegger's wife.
She's not. It's a weird lady that lives down the street and she's problematic in the neighborhood. Our old neighbor that moved away, I forget her name, but like she would tell us stuff and like she's like soliciting men and like making up all these stories and like the police
allegedly
the police every once in a while are like outside of her door and she's like yelling about nonsense. And even not even beyond our street, I'm getting my hair done one day at this salon that's like a block and a half down the street, and because there's like a park like catty corner from the place I get my hair cut, and all the girls in the salon are talking about this woman like in the park doing crazy things, and then she goes down to a boutique down the street that the girls in the salon are friends with the owners of and is like doing crazy things and like filming these weird videos just like out and about and like in the store. And I'm like, oh, this sounds wildly familiar. And then I pull up her Instagram because our old neighbor like told us what her Instagram name was and we were watching it. So I pull up her Instagram and I'm like, oh, is it this person? And they all died laughing because they were like, oh my God, that's her. How do you know her? I'm like, funny story. She actually lives on my street. So anyway, this woman is just like weird. And she has like, oh, her poor dog. She has this like big dog and she's this like little kind of like frail, older-ish woman. And we're walking Ollie the other night and we saw our other neighbor, Michelle, who we're friends with, like her and her dog, Henry. Mm-hmm. We see them. I didn't realize that this other person she was talking to was the clown lady. Otherwise, no. Otherwise, I see her and I turn around and I walk the other way.
Oh,
like,
I thought you did because I was like,
no, I didn't.
There's.
I saw Michelle. I saw Michelle and Henry.
And here we are.
And I didn't realize it was clown lady. So we go up and this lady.
She's self-declared. Okay,
so that's like background of why this lady is like weird and problematic.
That was helpful.
So.
Do you mean dump the rigatoni?
Can you go check it?
I'll go check it.
It's only been 6 minutes. So that's background on why she's weird. So we have outside a raised like flower bed bricked in area place. And sometimes we put Ollie's poop bags there and then we empty it on trash day. Because in this forlorn, godforsaken city, you sometimes could go an entire walk without walking past one single trash can. And that's what we do sometimes. Is it the correct thing to do? Maybe not, but we do it. So this lady has the gall. We walk down the street. Oh, so is looking at me. So I have this big trash can thing that I walk around with. And sometimes when I walk down the street, I pick up your poop. Do you leave it there?
Rigatoni not done yet.
Okay. So obviously I decide to match her crazy on a psychological level.
It was cool to see it in person, live.
Instantly went, oh my God, no, people keep leaving their poop bags there, which people do because there's like all different colored poop bags and we only have black.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, no, I know people keep leaving their poop bags there. Isn't it crazy? I don't know why people would do that. And I'm like going on and on. And she's like, oh, I'm just so glad. I'm so happy to hear that it wasn't you. Meanwhile, Eddie and our other neighbor friend, Michelle, these two jump ship. They abandoned me.
I shriveled up like a raisin.
And these two are just like chit-chatting about, you know, whatever daily gossip they have. So I'm talking to crazy clown lady. And then she's like, yeah, well, you know, I'm a professional clown and I used to be a preschool teacher and then I used to be a college professor and people just don't do the right thing. So I'm so happy to hear that you're doing the right thing. And then gestures to Eddie and is like, I knew a man this nice wouldn't be doing something like that.
I know she has good taste.
Meanwhile, in the back of my head, because of what I hear that she's allegedly soliciting men at all hours of the night, I'm like,
oh, I didn't capture that. Yeah.
Back off.
Oh.
Back off. You don't know my husband. He is very nice, but you don't know that. Keep your grimy little paws away from him.
Good point.
So then she goes, we kind of like, you know, back up and start walking away. And then I like look at Michelle. I was like, she's a freak. Michelle's like, yeah, sorry, I had to abandon you.
I didn't know what to say because I would have like folded like a house of cards.
Yeah, no.
Like, yep. Very much on occasion, I put it there. Yep, I absolutely do. I'm sorry.
So weird.
I'll do better.
Like, no, not me, not us.
It was a work of art.
So weird
to see you do that though, and get us out of that situation. It's such a shame though. She always seems to be outside.
She's always outside. And then sometimes like if you even see her like down the street and make any sort of not even eye contact, just like look in her direction, or she'll like see Ollie and be like, hi, oh my God, I love you. The one morning I was walking him, I think this was when you were in Portland. I was walking him, so I was by myself. It was early in the morning and she was out talking to the cops.
Hello, Portland.
For some reason, God knows why. And so we like, cause she's on kind of the corner a little bit. So sometimes you can't see her, whatever. So sometimes you just have to walk by her. So she's like talking to these two cops and then she's like yelling at us across the street. And it's like, oh my God, hi, hello, I love you. And the cops are like, who is this lady? And who are you? And I want to be like, I have no affiliation with her.
Whatsoever.
Whatever she's talking to you about, I know nothing about it and I want nothing to do with it. We do not love each other.
We do not distinctly love each other. Distinctly. No.
All right. I mean, how much time did the rigatoni need, do you think?
Oh, I think that needed 4 more minutes.
All right. So maybe like another minute. Well, let's wait until the rigatoni's done before we tell the next story.
That sounds good.
Shall we? So that was like Thursday. And then today, Sunday, we're having ourselves a fabulous little beach day.
It really was. Oh my gosh.
Weather was so great. Beautiful weather. It's great. We had went to an salad.
Abnormal spot.
Yeah. Anyway. So, oh my God. These people, again, just acting weird. So it was like, we were like 2 rows back probably from the ocean. So there was a big group of people, probably like 10-ish, 10 to 12 people, like a family.
Yeah.
In front of us. And
multi-generational.
Yeah. And we were behind them, as one does at the beach, a considerable difference or like distance behind.
Considerable.
So then the tide starts to come up and people move back. That's what happens.
Normal. So
this whole group decides to just move back. They just move back. They are sitting 4 inches away from us. They had this towel out that was like, I could just put my hand down from my beach chair and like my hand was on their blanket. It was right next to me. Mind you, there was like probably a good like 20 feet of empty space just to our right. So all they had to do is move over and then move back.
Go back into
But instead they move back. So like there's people right next to us. There's people right in front of us. And like the one woman's like, sorry, folks, I got to move back. And she's like sitting in my lap. And I'm like, okay, Esther, like what? So then they like
clearly didn't have to move back.
And then they kept multiplying, so more people kept joining their beach day. And this one guy like comes over, sees his family, looks at us, and gives us like a nod and like a half like wave. He looked like we're the weirdos.
I know. We were there first.
And then they're like moving in closer again, and like the one little girl, Maddie, we knew her name, Maddie, is like bopping around, and she like kind of comes over to us a little, and the one grandma lady again, who I've named Esther, is like, oh yeah, she's gonna have your feet buried soon. Like, no, we're not in on this with you. This is weird behavior. Get out of my face. Like, what?
In on this. This was your family's trip.
Like,
we do have that like drawn to us.
yeah, that like keeps happening for some reason. Remember that it wasn't last summer, I think the summer before, like it kept happening like back to back to back, and people just like kept sitting.
Well, it was
so close to us.
I think that's behavior on the north end near the seawall.
Yeah,
that's where that is. I think
well, the beach is just more narrow there, but like still there's room to be at least a towel length away.
Yeah, a little bit, but I think that's why we switched to going where we do now.
Yeah, because
it's like literally a desert over there. You can't.
Yeah. At one point, I like turned to Eddie and I was like, if these people farted, I could probably smell it. Like they're so close to me.
They were. I now reflecting on how the rest of our day went, it seems small in comparison to the things we saw on the way back to Philly.
Oh my God. Yeah, so we're in this like, we want to move out of the city. Where are we moving? We want like cute suburban neighborhood. So we're kind of like romanticizing that whole idea on the way home of like what we would want our ideal house to be, and like cute little neighborhood. And we saw this really cute house in this really cute neighborhood. So we were like talking about that. And then we drive back into Center City. We drive back into Philly. And we're coming down a regular street.
It's a regular street.
It's a regular, like,
there's a lot of traffic on 10th Street.
We're on 10th Street.
2 lanes.
A 2-lane street. And
Jewelers Row.
And yeah, we're specifically going down Jewelers Row. And we're just stopped, there's not a light up ahead.
Nope.
Sometimes people are just stopping. So we're like, okay. And then we see someone getting out of the back. And we're like, all right, I guess someone's like getting dropped off right here.
I think it was the driver's seat.
It wasn't. It was the girl in the back. There was a man driving.
Oh, okay.
So then we come to realize that it's also still broad daylight out. Okay.
Yeah.
Then we come to realize that the woman who just halfway got out of the back seat is actually popping a squat. Can't tell if she's peeing or pooping, but she has drop trowel.
Oh, I love you.
And I'm like, what the heck? Like, what? And I'm like, there are 500. Every like half of a block, there's a side street. Pull over into a side street if nature is really calling that badly.
I know. Oh,
like what you're stopping traffic.
God, I know.
And people, like, it's a Sunday. So I feel like in the summer, people leave the city. They come back Sunday evening. Like it wasn't like there were no cars on the road and you're just gotta go now. So then, we like come back into Philly and like that's what we see, and we're like, oh my God.
And I've been like a splash romantic about it because I'm like, oh, our first home, walk to restaurants, but like that was shook right out of me.
And our little like cobblestone side street, like tree lined, is very cute.
Yes, it is. That cannot be understated. But I like it was shook right out of me when we were just outside of our little bubble.
Yeah.
Which occasionally is infiltrated. And I think that's why some of our neighbors, shout out Bill, are so upset in general about what they see as recent happenings in the neighborhood. But I do not really see or feel, except for the clown.
Yeah.
She calls herself that, guys. She also gave me a card one day. Like her card.
Yeah, she was probably soliciting you. So we have
I did not realize was
we have her rather risque business card on our fridge, and I think it should follow us to every home that we have.
I hope so. Yeah, we should. She live in our fridge in power. Rest in peace, Bonnie Tyler. That was sad.
yeah.
Shout out Sam Hoffbauer. He has a special memory with me, him, and Bonnie Tyler.
Oh God.
But God, yeah, rest in power, Bonnie.
Rest in power.
Right. Are those our stories?
I think so.
I think so. I think we gave the people some
weird interactions.
Yeah,
with
this
people.
Nikki's corner of weird interactions.
People are so strange. I like people. I on a regular basis, I'm like, how are you functioning in life? Like, how do you go to the grocery store and function?
Yeah,
doing a normal task.
It's a good question.
Oh, we started and almost finished a new show this weekend.
We're so good at watching TV.
It was a rainy Saturday. We were at the beach and we watched TV.
If it could be a competition, we would win.
And we were watching, what's it called?
I Will Find You.
I Will Find You.
It was like a splash of Taken, 24, with a splash of
rich people behaving badly, which we love.
Yeah.
I think I need to see how we have like a half of an episode left.
You tanked. You just fell asleep,
Saturday.
unconscious.
And I need to see how this is wrapped up before I can give my full review. But so far, there are a lot of hands in the pot. And it's like a missing child kind of plot-ish.
Yeah.
And there are, I don't know, like whole storylines. I get it's like part of the story, I guess. But like there are whole storylines of this show and this kid and the dad, like the fertility thing. And they thought there was something nefarious with the fertility doctor, and maybe the kid's dad wasn't really his dad, and they did this whole thing and they're breaking into the fertility clinic and they're trying to find the mom's chart and doing all this thing, and then come to find out like the mom never even got a fertility treatment. She like went there for a consult and that was it.
Yeah, but to their credit, it really shows you like how the thought process of like what it was like to try to summon up the evidence to advance the plot in the story to be vague enough for anyone hoping to watch.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was confusing. We did try to do this all in one day, so it might have seemed fast to us.
Yeah.
But if someone paced it out, I'm sure this was probably released one at a time. Does Netflix do that? I think Apple TV does
Sometimes they do. Like, I think like a series like that, they don't. But with like Love is Blind and stuff, they'll do like a couple episodes.
Yeah, no, they got it because otherwise the world would combust.
Yeah.
Feel good?
Yeah, I think so.
So thanks for coming back to another episode of Your Checkup. Hopefully you were able to learn something for yourself, a loved one, or
a weird neighbor.
You can find us on Instagram, Threads, or you can send us an email, yourcheckuppod@gmail.com. But otherwise, most importantly, stay healthy, my friends. Until next time, I'm Ed Dulesky.
I'm Nicole Rufo.
Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.
This information may provide a brief overview of diagnosis, treatment, and medications. It's not exhaustive and is a tool to help you understand potential options about your health. It doesn't cover all details about conditions, treatments, or medications for a specific person. This is not medical advice or an attempt to substitute medical advice. You should contact a healthcare provider for personalized guidance based on your unique circumstances. We explicitly disclaim any liability relating to the information given or its use. This content doesn't endorse any treatments or medications for a specific patient. Always talk to your healthcare provider for complete information tailored to you. In short, I'm not your doctor.
I am not your nurse.
And make sure you go get your own checkup with your own personal doctor.